then I'll start us off. Okay. Wow, this is a great crowd for a Sunday night. Carol, your mic is still on if you want to try to mute it.
I can't find the mic again. I can't.
Lisa, you should be able to mute her for her.
All right, let me see.
If you hover over her.
If I hover over Carol.
Do you see the microphone?
Oh, I do. Sorry, Carol. I muted you. Okay. And somebody just asked how I recorded. The way I did that was I hovered to the bottom of my screen and 3 dots came up on the bottom right. And I clicked on those 3 dots, and at the top it said record this session. And so that's how I recorded. So let's get started. It's a few minutes past 8, and as people ring the doorbell, I'll let them in. But thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Certainly know that you probably have a lot on your plate right now. Oops, I'm trying to let somebody else in. How does this work? So the fact that you're making time to be with us tonight is great. I hope that first and foremost, you're all doing okay, feeling okay, and taking good care of yourselves. As I mentioned before, tonight we're going to use Google Hangout for our meeting. And then if you like this and you want to come together again next week or every other week, we can try a different platform just so that you can have the experience of trying different platforms and see what you like. Hopefully, maybe you're learning some things that you can use with your team or with your students should a snow day occur in another normal circumstance. This is a little bit out of the ordinary, but so our hope for the next hour is to engage you in some really thoughtful and helpful dialogue to make the Hangout work for everyone. We do ask that you keep your mics muted. Make sure you have that dialogue box on. Because the meeting's recorded, we can archive it and put it on the website so that if you miss anything or if you have to head out of the Hangout, that you can get back into this conversation later. We have a few facilitators that are here that are able to jump in and answer any questions, but you're also the experts here. So if there's something that you want to jump in and say, just let us know in the dialogue box and somebody will unmute you. That's it. We shared some really great resources. I don't know if you've had time to get to our website, but we did have a COVID-19 page put up for you. It's got 2 really neat features. One of the features is a Google Sheet that has 3 tabs at the bottom, but one of the tabs is filled with a bunch of resources, and the resources are broken up into 3 categories: academic, social, emotional, and college and career readiness. So make sure you take a look at that. You can get there by going onto our website. The other thing that we've added is more of a personal question and answer form. If there's something that you're struggling with or just need a little bit of support and you want to send a confidential question our way in hopes of getting some information from us, or we can connect you with maybe someone who we feel might be able to speak to your concern, you can find that on the website as well. So hopefully you find the resources that we posted there to be of value to you. I know if you're anything like me right now, you're in a little bit of COVID-19 resource overload. So to help this hour run smoothly, I will throw out a couple of questions just to keep the conversation fluid, but please remember that if you have a question that doesn't come up, feel free to type it in the dialogue box and one of us will speak to that. So I think the very first thing that we're wondering, aside from how you are all doing, is, have you been able to work with your district administrators and come up with a plan for your counseling work? And if so, what platforms are you using to do that work? So if you want to throw in some comments there, we'd love to hear what you're doing with your administrators, what platforms you're using.
Lisa, I can comment on that for South Kingstown. I'm at the middle school, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa Fontaine. We are using this platform, and it's been really good for the work that I've done over the last week with colleagues. I'm hoping that it kicks off as easily with students.
Great. And Lisa, that was really helpful. A reminder to people, if you want to enter into the conversation, and we'll unmute you. If you can say your name and the district that you're coming from, that would be really great. Is anyone using anything other than Google Hangout? Oh, Anne Marie, I'm gonna mute you.
I can tell you that Providence is using Zoom. I guess when you use Zoom, you're able to see more people. Like we have 63 people in our group right now, and I can only see, 4. So that's the difference between this and Zoom, I'm told.
Yeah, so Zoom, I think you can see all of the people across the top of the screen if they allow you to show their photo, if they don't block out their photo. So for those of you who like to see all of your participants in photo form, Zoom puts them across the top of the page. Rose, do you want to speak a little bit about how you are using Google Hangouts in North Providence? Let me go down and unmute you here. Or you can unmute yourself, I suppose, right? Rose, are you there?
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute myself.
There you are. So how are things going in North Providence? What are you using?
It's going well. We're doing Google Hangouts. We actually had a meeting on Thursday or Friday morning with just our whole support staff and actually a team of teachers. And so everyone came to the meeting. We kind of talked about going into next week, some things we're planning on doing. And then we have a meeting tomorrow morning with just the support staff with Google Hangout to talk about our different plans and caseloads and how we're going to assign all of that. So that's been really helpful. But I was listening to the Zoom conversation. I've been using that with friends, and it is a lot easier to navigate and everything else. So I'm going to bring that up tomorrow too, just to see if we want to throw that option out to some teachers when they talk with their students.
Have any of you had conversations with your districts or administration regarding what platforms are approved versus not approved? Are your districts mandating what platforms you use, or are they letting you explore some different platforms?
I'm not sure if you can still help me. I think there hasn't been any mandates. My administration has been pretty open to whatever we bring to the table that works. So that's a great question too. I'm actually going to ask that tomorrow and say, is anything mandated, or is there anything that we should not be using at all? But I think so far it's been open to whatever helps with what we're doing.
We've been told that our district is using the Google while our administrators are using Zoom. I guess the concern is that if too many people get involved with Zoom, it may get bogged down. Not sure.
And I know Zoom has lifted some of their restrictions, as have a lot of other places, so that you can talk longer than 40 minutes and can have more people in the chat. I know there are some conversations happening throughout the state, actually throughout the country. We shared something on our website about FERPA and HIPAA, and whether or not the platform that you are using meets all of their standards and is in compliance. So I think the recommendation from us would be, make sure before you choose your platform, if you haven't already done so, to just check in with your administrators and district leaders to see if they have a preference for a platform, or if there's a platform that they definitely do not want you to use. I think that would be helpful for you to know. So let's talk about maybe tasks.
Lisa, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Move forward. So there's a comment in the thread that says doxy me, www.doxy me is the site that a colleague shared with Jennifer Wesolowski that allows you to create a HIPAA compliant video server. I don't know what that is, but that might be helpful for people who want to investigate that. Thank you.
Great. Jen, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about that?
We are being told, oh no, that's a different person, sorry.
There we go. All right,
Jen.
so I haven't used Doxy. Another counselor I work with had sent it to the special ed director, and it's a site that he's been using. So in the email that he sent to us, he said that you create a profile on the website and then you fill out a form and it will create a HIPAA compliant video server. And he's been using it with some of his students. I haven't tried it yet, but it's what he's been using. So that way, like, all of his I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. How about your counseling related tasks, everyone? Are you getting guidance from administration for what they'd like you to do? Are they leaving it up to you? And what do you find you're able to accomplish from home? And what are you most worried about not accomplishing? And let me know if you want to jump in and unmute yourself. I know that one of the things that I've done is I've sent out emails to all of my seniors first and foremost. They seem to be feeling the emotional impact of everything the worst. I find that not a lot of kids are getting back to me necessarily, even, normally they do. I don't know if they're just very overwhelmed with everything that's going on too. I'm trying my best to send out emails to the remaining caseload of students, setting up junior college planning meetings, Google meetings. Yes, I did email seniors individually, but I'm very blessed to have a fairly small caseload. If I had a bigger caseload, I might do a blind copy and try to make it seem as personal as possible, although I think kids would understand if you had a ton of them. But the seniors I did reach out to individually. The other groups I did more of a blind copy, general hello. And for my juniors, I'm trying to make Google Hangout sessions to do their spring college planning meetings. So those are some of the things that I've started doing. Nervous about my kids with social.
Yeah, so in North Providence, we had a memo go out last week just saying what we expect pretty much everyone to do from admin. And it was saying that support staff should stay in touch with our caseloads and kind of stay in touch with the principal about communication with parents. And like I said, tomorrow morning we have a support staff meeting. So I think we're going to go into more details about what's expected. But we're supposed to stay in touch via email and Skyward. Now, the problem is there are a handful of kids that have no internet access.
Right.
And Chromebooks, and they're working on giving that to them. I think tomorrow we're doing some handouts and stuff like that. But even trying to then figure out a way to get in touch with those parents. So I think usually I call people during the week too. And obviously I'm not going to be calling from school. So I was kind of thinking about what do I do with that? Because obviously I don't want to give my phone number out to some parents, especially.
Right.
So, that's something I was going to bring up with my team tomorrow and just figure out what some suggestions are. But if anyone here has any too about, there are just some kids that I think need the support of that I will see at least once a week. They were doing great academically. They just needed to check in with me to make sure everything was going well. So
Rosa,
I'm concerned about them.
Rosa, you watching the comments? Because if you dial *67, you can block your phone number in calls.
Oh, yes, I remember that now. Okay.
So I know the talk of making phone calls from your personal phone has come up a lot with a lot of counselors throughout the state.
Yeah.
we have received some messages. There are a few counselors who are definitely a little bit leery, as I'm sure you have reason to be, and teachers, of calling their students directly. If they don't have internet access, sometimes a phone call is all you can do. So *67 is a nice feature that will allow you to call them with a little bit of privacy. For students who have internet access, you can do the Google call. Google will provide you with a phone number that you can do a Google phone call, and that might work out well too. I saw some folks mention they're really worried about the kids who they typically check in with throughout the week, those more high-end students who aren't maybe the ones who will answer back your email too, and being worried about checking on them. For those students that I've included their parents in the email if I know it's appropriate, just so the parents know that I've been reaching out and maybe can give them a little bit of a nudge to return my correspondence.
Hi, Lisa. It's Bill.
Hey, Bill.
I'm going to answer a couple of questions for the comments.
Great. Bill, before you do that, I think
Sure.
Rose and Lisa, can you mute your mics?
Oh, sure. Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, Bill, go ahead.
One of the questions in the comments was about using G Suite. Google Meet is part of G Suite. So if you're logged in to your Google account, you should be able to go to the waffle. And from there, if you scroll down, you should see Google Meet there. And for any district that has G Suite, Google Meet is included with that. So you should be able to use that with students to talk, and you could record conversations. I'm not sure I would, but that is certainly an option. Beyond that, there was another question about SAT, PSAT, and AP. The SAT, PSAT have been postponed. There's no further information from Rhode as of today as to makeup dates, if they'll happen at all. And College Board has pushed out information from College Board about AP testing and changes to it. If you simply Google AP news and updates, you should be able to find the COVID-19 response from College Board on AP testing. It's rather extensive and longer than we should move into. RICAS English has been postponed. I just saw that pop up. We haven't heard about RICAS Math at this point.
And we also added those links to our website too, Bill. So if anyone is on the RISCA website, there's a link to the latest AP updates, which are changing, by the day, and to the latest SAT websites. And Stacy reminded us too, which we put on the website, that there is the Secretary of Education put out something regarding this too, about exemptions from state testing. So the state will ask you to complete some sort of waiver to exempt you from state testing. I think directions about that will be coming out to your administrators pretty soon.
So I just wanted to chime in a couple of things. One, I just saw the question about teacher evaluations. Someone had submitted that question in the form, actually. So I think there's many people looking for answers on that. And I did forward that to some folks at Rhode. They are putting together some frequently asked questions and trying to get some answers together. So as soon as I do have information about that, I will get that out to the group. The other thing I want to mention just in regards to assessment is when we have a link from RISCA on the COVID page of Rhode, you can see they are updating like any of the big information about assessments like RICAS, or like when the I think it was the SAT in March was canceled. They put that on there. So that stuff will come out. And I did want to go back in the comments. There were a few folks that talked a little bit about their plans. Trish from Blackstone. I know, Trish, are you still on here? you had mentioned that Blackstone maybe had a plan that you guys were working with. I didn't know if you wanted
Yes,
to share.
I just unmuted my mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working, we've done several meetings last week using Zoom. We did find that platform was better. And so the faculty is kind of on the same page. And then but the teachers are using the Google Meets. And they're hopefully, we won't really know until tomorrow how it starts, but they've already contacted, we have an advisory system, and all the advisors have contacted the students as to what to expect. And they're going to do a combination of live classrooms, but that realistically is hard because we know some of our students will be literally babysitting for their siblings during the day with parents who are still going to work. So it will be a combination of live, and the teachers now are learning how to also record their classes. And the classes, the plan is to have classes for a half hour, whatever the class is, each class, a math class for a half hour. And then the teacher will stay online for a half hour to answer questions, and then will be available through email. And we have our support staff. I am part of that. We have divided our support staff, the kids who need it. Like, I'm going to be in charge of the kids that haven't completed the FAFSA, helping them look at their offer letters. An underserved population, they depend totally on us. And then the special ed teachers are going to join in on, am I saying too much?
No, keep going.
It's great.
I feel like I'm going on. And then we all have our assignments. The special ed teachers are going to be part of the Google Classrooms, and they're going to go on just as if they were in the school. And then the social workers, OT, they're also dividing up the students. So it's kind of, which is all, we spent last week trying to figure out how to kind of divide and conquer. Of course, the biggest load is on the teachers. I can't imagine how they're doing this, but I think that's, it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
you.
I feel for teachers, and I think this shows how many amazing teachers we have out there who have given up their vacations all last week. For us, we are doing a regular, just a regular school day, but virtually. And it's been an enormous undertaking for teachers. And we went right into it on Monday. We did not have school vacation. And they just have been amazing. But it's, the sustainability of it is definitely difficult.
And the technology, our director, Kylene.
Who is this that's talking now?
Oh, Trish. I'm still Trish.
Oh, still Trish. Okay, great.
Our director, Kylene, teaches at PC, so she kind of tested it on a college class. She's the whole virtual learning. She said it's really hard. She said it sounds great, and we're all planning it, but she's just said to tell everybody that it's really hard. So anyway.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing. How about anybody who's going to start small group or classroom lessons? Would you like to share the lessons that you're going to be doing and how you might be engaging students in those virtually?
Lisa?
Yes.
I have a couple of small groups set up at this time that I had physically in the building prior to last week. And so I kept the same days. So Tuesdays at 9 o'clock, we'll be meeting. I sent them, if you go to Google Calendar, you can send them an invite. So I invited them, and there's a way to invite them to a Google Meet, as you did for us. And I've already gotten responses from kids saying that they will be joining me. So that's, I have my 7th graders on one day and my 8th graders on another day. So far, so good. I'll stay tuned because we haven't done it yet.
Right. Good. Thanks, Leigh. Debbie Taylor, you're using Google Classroom and Richer Picture for ILPs. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing with ILPs virtually?
Oh,
I don't have
she
a microphone.
doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Okay, Deb. If
And
you have time, you can type us a couple of sentences in the box. Or if anyone else can speak to maybe the work they're going to be doing with ILPs.
I saw that Anne Marie mentioned that East Greenwich, I think, was going to be doing something with Naviance and Google Classroom. Anne Marie, are you still on?
Yes, I'm here. So what we did is for the first week, we just took some of the lessons that were already in Naviance and we assigned them to different grade levels, 6 through 12. And we're introducing them to the students through Google Classroom. Every student, every grade level has a Google Classroom. But then, so that's for the first week. But as time goes on, we're going to start creating some lessons around maybe do what you are, college essay writing, and we'll do that through Naviance. Our concern is, though, we don't want to give them too much because we think they're going to be overwhelmed with their academic work.
Right.
And so we want to just be a support. We don't want to give them a ton more to do. So we're trying to be cognizant of that also.
And I know that there's been a big concern about screen time usage. So now kids are on their screens all day and then typically continue to be on it all night, which is usually for more personal reasons. But we are also trying to be cognizant of the amount of screen time that kids are getting. We've actually made Wednesday in our school week an independent learning day where students are encouraged to work on tasks that are not screen time related. Do your districts have any, or do you have procedures in place for students to follow in the event of an emergency or a non-emergency situation in order to get in touch with you, or when they can't get in touch with you? There were a couple of questions about that that came through email. So right now, I know where I am, which is at Mount St. Charles, the way that students would get in touch with me in an emergency or a non-emergency situation is strictly through email would be the one way. If they couldn't get in touch with me, they know to communicate with one of the other counselors on the list. So we set up a live link. I'm trying to explain it the easiest way. So I set up an event in my Google Calendar and I went into settings and I repeated that event every weekday, and it starts at 7:45 and it ends at 2:15. And then I created the link for that event, the Google Hangout link for that event. And so all 4 counselors on my team did that. And then we sent to all students an email that had every single one of our virtual links, so that in addition to contacting us through email, they could pop into our virtual classroom, our virtual hangout at any time throughout the day. And so I leave my hangout on in the background of my computer. I turn the camera off, and I leave it just kind of sitting there while I'm doing all my other work. And then when someone wants to come into that hangout, I get a little notification. So if they couldn't get in touch with me and it was an emergency, they would go to the next person on that list and they could go into their virtual hangout.
I was just going to mention a couple of ideas I saw just in regards to trying to do some of the things to not be screen time.
Mhm.
And one idea I had heard was just about like some prompts for journaling. So even for kids to reflect on this experience and like, how it's been for them, how they're feeling about it, what has changed, what are some good things that have happened from it, different kinds of things that they could actually just write down versus on the computer. And another fun thing that I am going to add to the resources list was there were 2 counselors who do these cool videos, and like they had thoughtful Thursdays and they gave the kids like some ideas of things to do, like thoughtful around their house, or on Wednesday they had another theme. So just something that's like not a big thing for them to do, but maybe it might be like listening to a mindfulness kind of video, or listening to an app, or writing something or doing something nice for someone else. So just some different ideas that were out there.
I can
Yeah, I like
share.
that. Oh, go ahead.
I could share a form if you have a minute that I created that I put in my Google Classroom, and it's just a student counselor like check-in form. And it, let me see if I can present it. I might be able to show it to you quickly, and I'd be happy to share it out if anybody wants to see it.
And I think Bill mentioned he put together a form similar to, it seems like what you're talking about. We created a Google form, very brief. Students can fill it out if they need to talk.
Oh,
Goes on all of our Google
Yeah,
Classroom
I
pages.
stole it off of an idea that RISCA had posted, but I tweaked it to my district and my role. But an area for, can you see the screen that I'm viewing?
No, I can't, but.
I can.
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
I can
all
see
see
As
it.
well.
Okay. So just, I put in, what do you need help with? And here are some selected choices: schoolwork, my choices, career or lessons, my feelings, friend stuff, family, and other. And then how do the students want to be contacted, through an email or video chat? So I think some of my students, 7th grade and 8th grade is a little tricky. Sometimes they're not really comfortable. I won't know how comfortable they'll be doing a video chat. So I thought I would throw it out, for either option.
That's neat. That's a really great idea. I like that a lot. Bill, was there anything in the thread that you wanted to follow up with?
Yeah, I think just to follow up on a couple of points, we covered the question of, contacting students through Google, but also definitely check in with your school and district administration about best practice and what they want you to do. In terms of 504 plans, I know that 504 plans are something that have people nervous, some people looking to do them online. You should check with your school and district admins on those. 504 plans technically do not need to be reviewed every year, even if it is best practice to do so. So you might want to check with your school and district admin if you can somehow do a digital check-in with parents, maybe with the intention of meeting when we're back to school, and see if that can cover best practice in the short term.
So I know there's a lot of comments about, and I just typed something in the thread. Nicole Burke, if you're still there, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about meeting the needs of students, social needs, and what you did with lunch bunches this week.
Sorry, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi. So this week, I usually meet with a group of 6th and 7th graders twice a week. So I used the link in my Google Hangouts, and I shared it with them. And I invited another teacher to be there, just to have 2 of us. And Tuesdays and Thursdays we meet, and we kind of just leave it up for open discussion. So we're seeing how they were doing. I think next time we meet, we'll come up with just some norms, because it got a little bit hectic when there was about 8 or 9 of them. But I think it was a really good idea, and it got them all a chance to see each other when they were not in an academic setting. So they were showing each other their pets and what they were eating for lunch. But it was just a nice time before they went into another class. So we're hoping to keep it up.
Neat.
Yeah.
So Anne Marie Flaherty poses a really great question, and I think it's on a lot of people's minds about video chatting with students, the concerns around that. Her building principal was a bit concerned with students being alone at home and video chatting with an adult. And they're only using Google Meet right now. My original thought on that is, it's, and maybe somebody can chime in here. I'm thinking it's the same liability when they drop them off to you at school all day and they're not present there when you're communicating there. I think you're covered by, to a certain extent, by your license and professional degree. Although if your administrator has some concerns, I don't suppose it's great to overstep him and her. I wonder if there is if that is definitely a way that you want to communicate with students, some sort of consent form that you might be able to send home to parents that they could sign, run that by your administrator, see how he feels about that. And if the consent is signed and parents are aware that that's happening, maybe that's a way to cover yourself for those interactions.
Lisa, this is Bill. I just posted in the comments a link to an Ask a webinar tomorrow that covers working ethical considerations in a virtual setting. It's from 11 to 12 tomorrow with Carolyn Stone, Wendy Rock, and Tracy Steele. And I'm sure that's something that they probably would cover. So if you're an Ask a member, that might be a great time to spend an hour tomorrow on that webinar.
And I'm sure, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, if they're not able to get in because now they're expected to be on or teaching at that time, they usually archive the webinar so that you can access it, correct?
Yes, they usually do. And I would just say to everyone, if you're getting pushback from an administrator, tell them this is the national organization that's doing something, and you think if you get it right now, you'll be able to help kids more quickly.
Mm-hmm. Are there any pointed questions that anyone has that they feel would be a great question to throw out to the group? Now's your chance to get input from a lot of people. I did have a question around websites. Do any of you have a school counseling website? And if so, do you have access to it to put updated resources and links, or is that not something that you have control over? I know our website is kind of set, and in order for us to add anything to it, we usually have to go through a couple of people. But if you do have a website, it's a great time to add some resources and links to it. Bill, why is EP shutting down Google Meets?
I thought maybe Catherine, you can respond to this if you can unmute yourself. Catherine Newman, you
Yes,
posted
hello.
something.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm going to bounce off and let you talk.
So I was just, as I wrote that, I just went back to look at the virtual plan that they had sent out. But because I was hoping that I was correct. I was correctly recalling what I read. But from what I understand, they are concerned about privacy issues. So our technology folks are only allowing the video feature to be on our faculty accounts. They're disabling the video feature, although I don't know that our students ever really had it. So when we do a Google Chat or a Google Meet, it has to all be done via chat. We're told not to use anything else because the district essentially owns it, right? So they pay for the Google Suite, and they want us to not use any other platform. So I'm not sure if that's going to evolve, but that was the initial instruction. Since then, we've gotten a lot of resources sent to us, but I don't believe any of them, are involving video chatting with students. I don't know if they're worried about liability or what, but I know there were certainly privacy issues that they were concerned about, both on the teacher end and on the student end. Did that make sense?
It did, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can imagine that without the Google Hangouts, without the face-to-face interaction, I mean, it really comes down to, which is, I think, really hard for school counselors to accept, is doing the best you can with the tools and resources that you have available to you with the access that you have to your students. It really is paralyzing, I think, for us not to have access to the kids who need us, especially the ones who need us the most.
Yeah, I think we're encouraged to make phone calls. I mean, I think that's sort of the gist of the conversations that I've had with our principal. So we are going to be responsible for sort of tracking kids down if they're not checking in with their schoolwork. So I envision a lot of phone calls this week. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Kelly, if you want to hop on, hopefully nobody did a whole lot of work this week prepping for this, and then you received a message from administration asking to not use Google Hangouts either. But you can use, during class time, you can use Google Hangouts and Screencastify. Kelly, can you talk a little bit about Screencastify?
So I could talk a little bit about Screencastify because I've used it a
Great.
lot. I don't know if Kelly, are you there? Okay. If Kelly's there, just hop in, Kelly.
Right. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Oh, it was Carrie. I thought.
No, it's Kelly.
Hi,
it's Kelly.
Kelly. Okay.
No, I have all the information on how to. I've never used Screencastify. I'm trying to figure it out, but yeah, that was just from admin today that they don't want us to use any kind of video, and it looks like for the students under 13 that they're worried about.
Right.
Oh,
So maybe Screencastify, for those of you who are having a hard time meeting with students virtually, maybe Anna, you can explain a little bit about how Screencastify works.
Yeah, and I think I made a screencast about how to use Screencastify, so I'll check that, and I'll post it in our resources link if I did, or find you a video to add there. But basically, it's a Google Chrome extension that you add on. So if you just search your extensions for Screencastify and add it, then when you go to like whatever you're on your screen, you can have it record whatever is on your screen. It can show your face or it cannot show your face, and it will hear your voice. So you can kind of walk kids through something. Either it could be, some type of lesson for Naviance or Zello, or it could be,
course selection directions.
Course selection, exactly. It could be anything. It could be how to do something on Skyward, how to do something, on a different student information system. And you can walk them through it, and then you can upload it to I think the best way to do it is to upload it to a private YouTube channel, and then use that link to upload it to a Google Classroom and share it through there. I think that's the easiest way to do it. That's how I usually did it. You can do it through Google Drive, but it doesn't always, the videos don't always play as well as they do if you've uploaded it to YouTube.
And so when you upload it to YouTube, Anna, can you explain that process a little bit?
Yeah, so first, once you make it with Screencastify, it will automatically save it into your Google Drive. And then what you do is download it to your computer. And from there, you go to YouTube, like you create a Gmail through, most of you probably are Google Schools. So you could do it through your school email. And then you go to upload it. I can try to find a video to kind of show it. Or I can, while you're talking about something else, I could try to pull it up on my computer to show it in a second.
Great. So for those of you who have tasks that need a little bit of hand-holding, like we're in the midst of course selection and students do that through their portal, you can make a Screencastify and go over the directions, and what the kids will see is exactly what you're doing on your screen. So helpful for tasks like that are coming up. Anyone have a favorite SEL resource they want to throw out to the group? I know we shared a bunch on the website. I know that com.com is offering some free stuff right now, and Kelso's Choice is offering a lot of free materials right now too. I believe like the coupon code is COVID-19, which is a little scary, but. Breathe Like a Bear book for elementary. Hey, Jillian, do you want to unmute and talk a little bit to elementary? And I just know there's must be an extra set of challenges there, as those students aren't usually on their computers as much or rely on that for communication as much, the little ones. Do you have a minute to talk maybe about some of the things that you're doing? Keep sharing resources. I can unmute you, Jillian. JJJ. Where are you? There you are. I'm going to unmute you. Oh, I can't unmute you. Oh, we can see you. So Jill, if you scroll along the bottom of your screen, just hover over it. You should see your mic and you can unmute yourself. For some reason, I can't unmute you. Hover along the bottom of your screen.
Whoa, that was loud.
There you are.
Okay. All right.
So tell us about those little boogers. How are you? What are you doing
So
to
I am not at the elementary level anymore, but if I was there now, I think, and I used to work at BF Norton in Cumberland, so lower socioeconomic, I think I would utilize either Google Classroom or a website and share that with parents and put all my, my mindfulness strategies. A lot of like zones of regulation, I think could be a good resource for the littles right now, in terms of being able to label their emotions, and things like that. Trying to think. Breathe Like a Bear is an awesome book. I can grab it. Hold on. Oh. It's really cute. It just has a lot of different activities for little kids to use. I use it with my own little kids. And I highly recommend. You can get it on Amazon, although I don't know how long it will take to ship right now. But yeah, so I think I think I would disseminate my website to the parents more than the students at the elementary level, just because I think they're going to need a lot of help in terms of navigating that technology.
Great. I think you could probably use that book for a lot of kiddos. The older kids would probably find it quite amusing.
Yeah.
What else?
Lisa, do you want me to share the YouTube, how to upload the YouTube piece?
Yep, I think that would be great.
Okay, so just going to share my window here.
Cindy Lancaster, if you're here, would you like to chime in on some things you're doing specifically with groups of middle school students? I know that you work really hard to get to everyone. Where are you, Cindy?
She's not there?
I don't know. She could be on.
Okay.
We, in the form that we put on our website, the Google Sheets form.
There you go. I don't want the camera.
No, the microphone's on. The camera's off.
Right, the camera's on.
No, the camera's off.
Ladies. The camera's off. The microphone is indeed on.
There you go.
I've been sort of, I don't know. I'm impressed by everybody's ideas and planning, because I really haven't come up with much. I guess I'm kind of old school.
So tell us then how the old schoolers, and I would disagree. I'm sure that you've come up with much more than you're giving yourself credit for. But I also think a lot of us are in your same boat as far as just trying to figure things out right now. So if you're old school, as you said, your words, not mine, what are you thinking that you're going to be able to do? What are some tasks you think you're going to be able to roll out?
Well, my partner Carrie Carlson made this really good check-in, and having kids sort of identify the emotions that they're feeling, and like to what degree, so that we'd have some sort of screening survey, so we could identify kids who are really struggling. You know.
Great. How did she create that? Was it a Google form?
Yeah,
or,
it was Google. Yep, Google form.
and that went out to all kids?
I think that's the part that we sent it to our principal to find out, like, how does he want us to roll it out. Our idea was starting with grade 6 for Monday, and then grade 7 on Wednesday, and then 8 on Friday, and just sort of do a check-in and follow up.
Any thoughts on how you might reach those kids who aren't completing the form or getting back to you?
That's a good question. I guess I'd go to Aspen and get the phone number and try calling them, you know.
Okay. And will you be *67 that
Probably.
call? Or?
Yeah, I'll have to ask our principal to find out what are they recommending, you know.
Okay. And so how, and I don't know if any, and I know we only have a few minutes left. So to Cindy's point, is anybody struggling with having to maybe defend their role or schedule, in that, now what do you do with all of this time? The teachers are developing lessons and working overtime. We certainly don't want it to look like we aren't able to, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm framing it correctly, but for those of us who are kind of paralyzed and don't know what to do, how can we create tasks or fill our schedule with meaningful tasks so that we're making sure that we're doing what we need to do, so that everybody's playing an active role. And that, I guess, teachers aren't saying, well, it's nice to be a school counselor right now. They certainly don't have anything on their plate, right? We know that's not true.
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of a loaded question, but. So things like, and things are coming up in the thread. So if you're looking to develop a list to send to your administration of, hey, here's some things that I'm working on to keep myself busy and to maintain my schedule. Checking in on student grades came up, monitoring student grades. Some counselors are popping into classrooms from time to time, emailing students. Well, thank you, Kristen. It didn't sound like it came out very good. What? Share some things that you're doing to show that your schedule's full. Joining CPT time. Maybe working on scope and sequence. You could also become a RAMP school if you're interested. If you go to the ASCA website, you can learn more about becoming a RAMP school. There's no Rhode Island RAMP schools, and RAMP is a recognition for a school counseling program. I think you have to select a data point, and then do kind of a big investigation around that. But you can go to the ASCA website and learn more about RAMP.
Lisa, do you want me to show that? I have it up.
Sure.
Just so that.
Yep, I think Cindy, you might need to mute again now.
Oh, sorry. I just I muted myself by accident. So I have it up. Can everybody see it? Can you see the YouTube page? Yes. Okay, great. So just quickly, if you wanted to upload a video, you would go to create a video or post. You could see it up in the top. It looks like a little camera next to my face and the bell and the little squares. So you would just click on that and you would upload it from your computer. And then it would live in your channel. And then from there, you can take it. And I did apparently, I don't want to play this, but I did apparently walk through how to add the Screencastify to your Chrome. Please excuse my voice. I'm sure it's not the best, but it might at least get you going if you don't know how to do it. And I will share the link to that. So for anyone who wants to do that. Any questions on that before I take that down? Okay.
And I think for a lot of that stuff, it's a lot of trial and error. I have like a million questions, but I probably just have to figure it out and make one and see how that works. So Stacy, that is an excellent question. And Stacy, before I answer your question, with the 1 minute that we have, I know you're a wealth of information. Is there anything that you want to share or talk about before we say goodnight and maybe plan another hangout?
I'm just going to remind everybody the same thing I've kind of been telling people in my own district is everybody just needs to be flexible, and things aren't going to go right and things aren't going to go perfect. And we have our own families to worry about. We have our own stresses to worry about. We know our students have tons of stresses to worry about. And so we're going to need to really just take each day as it comes and be on this learning curve with our students and our families, and not be afraid that we're making mistakes and maybe we're not doing things perfectly, and rely on each other to get through this. So.
Well, that is a perfect ending, Stacy. And I agree. Stacy is completely right. And so I'd love to hang out again. I mean, I don't know how helpful this is for you. Your feedback is definitely always welcome. We can try a hangout again next Sunday if you'd like, after all of you have had a week to kind of sit with, roll things out this week and see how they were going. Maybe when we come back next Sunday, same time, there'll be some new questions or some new resources. That would be great if you can join us. That's the nice thing about these meetings. If you can make it, you can make it. And if not, that's okay. Maybe for the next one, next Sunday, we'll try a Zoom hangout. And that will give everybody the ability to try a different platform. So look for your RISCA email. Anna will send it out to our non-RISCA members. And we'll come back together next Sunday night, and see how things are going. So have a great week, everybody. Do the best you can. We are here if you need anything. We don't always have all of the answers, but we will work to find solutions and resources for you, and we're here to listen. Have a great week. I want to be sure this is recording. Uh-huh.